My name is Moses, and my story begins in the lush delta of the Nile, in Egypt, where my people, the Israelites, were living not as free men but as slaves. Born amidst fear and despair, I was cradled in secrecy to escape the Pharaoh's cruel decree that all newborn Hebrew boys be thrown into the river. My mother, a woman of faith, hid me for 3 months until she could conceal me no longer. In her wisdom, she devised a plan to save me. She placed me in a basket and set it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. My sister, Miriam, watched from a distance to see what would happen to me. It was Pharaoh's daughter who found me. Moved by my cries, she felt compassion and, recognizing me as one of the Hebrew children, decided to raise me as her own. Miriam, seizing the moment, approached Pharaoh's daughter and suggested my own mother as a nurse.
Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?
Thus I was brought up in Pharaoh's palace, learning the ways of Egypt, yet nurtured by my own mother's teachings about the God of Israel. Despite my Egyptian upbringing, the plight of my people was never far from my heart. One day, as a grown man, I witnessed an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of my own people. Overcome with rage, I struck the Egyptian and killed him. Fearing retribution, I fled into the desert to Midian, where I encountered a new chapter of my life. I found a local well, where I noticed a group of shepherds driving away several women who were trying to draw water for their flocks. My sense of justice, honed but not hardened by my experiences in Egypt, stirred within me. I could not stand idly by. I intervened on behalf of the women, helping them to water their flocks and driving the rude shepherds away. Among these women was Zipporah, one of Jethro's daughters, and I walked with her back to her father's home. Jethro welcomed me with a generosity that was humbling, perhaps seeing in me not just a rescuer of his daughters but someone in search of refuge. It didn't take long for me to realize that I had found a new home, not just in Midian but in the company of Zipporah and her family. Then one day I married Zipporah, which was marked by simple yet profound joys, reflecting the life we were about to embark upon together in Midian. The ceremony was held beneath the expansive sky, just as the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the desert in hues of orange and pink. The people of Midian, a community that had become my refuge and sanctuary, gathered around us. They celebrated our union with music from handmade flutes and drums, their melodies echoing softly against the rocky hills. Following our marriage, Jethro bestowed upon me a flock of sheep. This gift was not merely a means of sustenance but a symbol of the trust and responsibility he placed in me. Tending to this flock required patience and resilience, qualities that life in Midian had been teaching me, slowly and subtly. Each day with the sheep in the open fields under the wide skies was a lesson in humility and stewardship, drawing me closer to the land and its creator. One ordinary day, as I led my flock near Mount Horeb, I stumbled upon a sight that would redefine the course of my life. There, in the rugged solitude, I noticed a bush enveloped in flames. This was not wholly unusual in the dry heat, however. This bush burned without being consumed. Curiosity drew me closer. The flames blazed mysteriously vibrant, yet the branches, leaves, and stems remained intact, green as ever under the fiery dance. As I approached, the air around seemed charged, heavy with a presence that my years in Pharaoh's court had never prepared me for. It was then that I heard my name called out from within the flames.
Moses. Moses.
Here I am.
Remove your sandals, for which you stand is holy. I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt, hearing their cries under their oppressors. I want you to confront the Pharaoh and lead the Israelites to freedom.
Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?
I will be with you. and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain.
Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, "The God of your fathers has sent me to you," and they ask me, "What is his name?" What shall I tell them?
I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent you.
What if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, "The Lord did not appear to you"?
Throw thou staff onto the ground. Pick up the snake by its tail. Place your hand inside your cloak. Pull your hand out. Place your hand back into your cloak. Pull your hand out. If they do not believe you or pay attention to the first two signs, take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. The water you take from the river will become blood on the ground.
After the burning bush, I left the mountain of God with a heart heavy with responsibility but bolstered by divine assurance. The weight of the task ahead seemed immense, confronting Pharaoh, a ruler of one of the world's mightiest empires, and leading my people, who had been enslaved for so long, to freedom. However, the signs shown to me by God at the burning bush remained vivid in my mind, reinforcing my resolve. As we journeyed towards Egypt, the weight of my mission settled upon me like a heavy cloak. Zipporah walked beside me, her presence a steady comfort amidst the swirling uncertainties of the path ahead. We traveled through desert expanses and alongside the mighty waters of the Red Sea, the landscape shifting from the familiar hills of Midian to the bustling cities and grand monuments of Egypt. Upon reaching Egypt, I faced the daunting task of confronting Pharaoh. The city hummed with life and oppression, the grandeur of its architecture contrasting sharply with the cries of my enslaved kin. Every step I took towards the palace stirred a tempest of emotions within me, determination mingled with fear, faith intertwined with doubt. But above all, I carried with me the unwavering assurance of God's presence and his promise to deliver my people. Pharaoh's court was a realm of power and splendor, where every word and gesture held weight. Yet, fueled by the divine mandate echoing in my heart, I stood before Pharaoh and spoke with a conviction born from the burning bush. Pharaoh, ruler of Egypt, I come not with my own authority, but as a messenger of the God of the Hebrews. He has seen the affliction of his people and has sent me to demand their release from bondage.
Moses, you speak of gods and people I do not concern myself with. The Hebrews are my labor force, essential to the prosperity of Egypt. Why should I let them go at your bidding?
The God of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has declared, "Let my people go, so that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness."
Feasts and gods. Your people are deluded, Moses. Their work is essential to my empire. They shall not be released.
Pharaoh, witness now the power of the God of the Hebrews.
What sorcery is this? Magicians.
Pharaoh, heed this warning. If you do not obey the command of the Lord, he will bring upon Egypt great plagues that will show his power over all the gods of this land.
Plagues? You threaten me with your imaginary gods? I am the Pharaoh. I do not bow to foreign deities or their prophets.
It is not I who threatens, but the God who created heaven and earth. He will turn the waters of the Nile into blood, sending a message to Egypt and the world that he alone is God.
Enough of these empty threats. Moses, your people will stay and work. Leave my presence before I decide to deal with you and your band of troublemakers.
So be it, Pharaoh. But know this, the God of the Hebrews will show his power, and Egypt will know that he is the Lord. You have been given a chance to release his people. Choose wisely.
Water turns to blood, Nile's red, a crimson flood. Let my people go. Frogs leap, they fill the land. Pharaoh's heart does yet withstand. Gnats and flies, the buzzing band. Plague land meets God's demand. Livestock struck, disease does spread. Boils rise upon each head. Pharaoh's pride will not bend, yet the plagues persist, they lend. Hail and fire rain from sky. God's wrath echoes loud and high. Locusts swarm, crops they defy. Pharaoh's kingdom starts to sigh. Shrouds a deepened night. Moses plea a blinding light.
Moses, enough of this darkness that blankets my land. If your God can lift this curse, I will consider letting your people go.
Pharaoh, the darkness will lift when you agree to let the people of Israel go. Our God has shown his power through these signs, and he demands the release of his people from bondage. If you continue to resist, more plagues will come upon Egypt. Consider this as a final warning.
Okay, I will let your people go.
The Pharaoh still refused to let my people go, and then I left and spoke with the Lord.
I will bring one more plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here, and when he does, he will drive you out completely. Saying about midnight, I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh, who sits on the throne, to the firstborn son of the female slave, who is at her handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been, or ever will be again. But among the Israelites not a dog will bark at any person or animal. Then you will know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. Tell the whole community of Israel that they are to take some blood from a lamb and put it on the sides and tops of the doorframes of the houses.
Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, about midnight I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son in the land of Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sits on the throne, to the firstborn of the female slave, who is at her handmill. Even the firstborn of all the livestock will perish.
I will not let your people go.
After that, the Pharaoh did not let my people go. The angel of death came that day and killed the Pharaoh's son.
Go. You and your people can leave Egypt.
But finally relented after the devastating 10th plague, the death of every firstborn in Egypt. On that fateful night, we marked our doorposts with lamb's blood as instructed by God, and the angel of death passed over our homes while taking the lives of the Egyptians' firstborn. With great haste, we gathered our belongings and departed Egypt, a nation that had enslaved us for generations. As we marched through the wilderness, guided by a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night, we rejoiced in our newfound freedom. However, our journey was not without challenges. Pharaoh changed his mind and pursued us with his army, trapping us against the shores of the Red Sea. In a moment of divine intervention, God placed a pillar of fire to slow down Pharaoh. Then God parted the waters of the sea, allowing us to cross on dry land. As Pharaoh's army attempted to follow, the waters returned, drowning them and securing our deliverance with hearts full of gratitude and faith. We continued our journey towards the Promised Land, a journey marked by trials and miracles that shaped us into a nation bound by covenant with God.